All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for coming today. I'm going to get started and get going with today's presentation. And on the screen, you will see it. This one is being recorded just for your information. It is the presentation that will be shared with the link with the committees as well. So this is an advisory committee presentation, and there's one scheduled for right now at 3 o'clock, as well as a second one this afternoon at 6 p.m. The agenda for today is we're going to go over a quick little introduction, talk about the project in the background, take a closer look at the revised master plan and some of the policies of the secondary plan, talk about the consultation that we've undertook today and the next steps, and have a little bit of time, hopefully, to have some questions, clarifying questions answered. My intent is hopefully to get you out of here by 4 o'clock, sorry. So to introduce the project quickly, why are we doing this? So the Town Dock project was actually launched several years ago under a former strategic plan that the municipality had. However, it's continued to be identified in the current 20-year community strategic plan as an objective, and that is to fulfill implement the town's secondary plan and vision for its future. From a policy place, the towns are designated under the official plan as a future study area. This is an overlay schedule, and it intends to ensure that when redevelopment happens, that it is thoughtful and considered all other types of connections and priorities and needs of the municipality. A third reason is we do know that there will be significant investment required in the coming years. There has been, over the course of this plan, some emergency investment that's been needed down at the town dock, and information that we know to date does lead us to believe that we're going to continue to invest and make these necessary repairs to the town dock. And so prior to investing in that, we did want to have a opportunity to discuss the plan with the public and ensure that the design and the plan for it works for the community. Additionally, the town dock is an important landmark. It supports the prosperity of downtown. It's a link to the park and an anchor for the community. It's central. It's been a hub for many, many years, as some of the pictures you've seen. So it is identified as part of the heart of the community. So for today's purpose itself, so we have invited multiple advisory committees. Usually you would see myself, and maybe you would know Owen as well. He comes out to these quite often. We go individually to each of these advisory committees and get your feedback that way. And so the intent was to bring you all together, give a presentation similar to that, and that this would enable you to give some thought to the project and then go back to your unique and individual committees. And have an opportunity to discuss this a little bit more and then formalize your comments back to the Town Dock Advisory Committee. So today, there's a number of committees of the town itself. The Museum and Heritage Advisory Committee, the Economic Advisory Committee, the Trails Committee, and the Wellbeing and Accessibility Advisory Committee are ones that we were invited. We have a couple other ones, Committee of Adjustment, that are more regulatory sort of things. So those were not necessarily included in the consultation, but just so you're aware, there are other committees of council. So as I've noted, and I'm not sure if you've seen some from your administrative on your next committee of agendas, but early in 2026, our hope is that you'll have an opportunity to discuss this with your committees, and that you would be able to provide that feedback to the town dock. This is hopefully in early 2026, and I'm not sure if many meetings have been scheduled, but we are intending to move this plan along fairly quickly in the new year, and so the timely feedback is what we're hoping for. And to set a stage a little bit, what are we trying to achieve with this secondary plan? So it is very much a high-level vision to guide the future design and the development of the site. I want to highlight and emphasize that it's a high-level vision. This is not something that is detailed designs. We are not looking at locations of benches or trails or parking spots. We are not looking at the number of buildings or the design of the buildings or the look of the buildings. Not those types of details. It's trying to stay high level, and its goal is to consider all things that are important to this community: the culture, the heritage, links to the parkland and downtown, while maintaining the public access and maximizing some economic potential. In support of this work that we've been doing, we noted that there's a number of other documents that the town has prepared over the years. Our guiding document, the 20-year community strategic plan, was one of them. However, there are others out there that I just wanted to note. So the cycling strategy identifies the town dock as an ideal node and destination for cyclers, and developing it with cycling in mind will help for a healthy and connected space in the community. The age-friendly plan identifies ensuring that we look at this plan with an age-friendly lens and that it's enhancing access for people as well as entrance into downtown. And then specifically from an economic lens, there were two studies. I just sort of identified the market gap, but there was also a business retention expansion study. And it really focuses on how to enhance tourism and recreational attractions at the town dock that would then help support downtown. So those are four very broad studies that the municipality does that really helped inform the work that we've done to date on the town dock master plan. Oops. So a bit of background on the project. And this slide looks long, and I can actually inform you there's a second slide that's even longer, I think. So this has been a project that I've been working on for a number of years. It was originally started with a kickoff and site visit in November of 2020. And so during that time, there was a town dock advisory committee that was established. There was a number of community consultation events. If you recall, there were back in the COVID days when we were on Zoom. And so we took it that far with that first plan to a public meeting in September of 2022. And I think at that public meeting, if anybody was there or recalls, we did hear some feedback that we weren't really moving in the direction that the community wanted. So we wanted to sit back and have a rethink. So that also meant that with a new council, we established a new town dock advisory committee, and they had their first meeting back in 2023. And those first couple meetings, and for many of them, we've been focused on parking. I won't try and say that it wasn't talking about parking, but we helped, or we intended to try and guide some of the conversation that was happening in the community with the retention of Lee Consulting, who did a parking strategy that looked at the downtown, but also looked at the town dock. So that information was provided to the town dock committee, probably many of the committees that are here too, and to help that committee come to some sort of common ground with the plan, enough to take that forward for council to get some feedback at council. So that was done earlier this year in June. That town dock committee meeting was held. We provided council with an update, and that led to a public meeting back in October. So stemming from that public meeting, we released a public survey, and we are conducting this consultation right now. So that's where we are in that red box. We do intend to continue to have some conversations with the community, not just your advisory committees or the council next year, and final adoption by council, and then submission to the County of Simcoe for final approval. I might have glossed over a bit, but the document that we're working on is the official plan, an amendment to the official plan. So a master plan feeds into that document, and so that's the process that we would need to go through in order to lift that future study area and enable the detailed design parts of the plan to move forward. So to give a bit of sense of the background of the property, we've got an air photograph with the site outlined in red. The area is 2.8 hectares in size. There are the features there that many of you are probably familiar with: the Tourist Information Center, the dock lunch, the separated parking for boats and trailers, the boat launch, the sewage treatment plant, the entrances onto Main Street, and the circulation on the site. As I noted, parking was one of the conversations that was had. And so based on this information, the paved area parking, which is the free area of parking for visitors, is 7,350 square meters. Unpaved is 8,150 square meters for just 15,000 square meters, over 15,000 square meters of parking area. This roughly translated to 201 parking, 146 passenger vehicles with 55 boat and trailers. So this brings me to where we are with the revised master plan. And so the revised master plan, as noted, is a part of the document that feeds into the official plan. And so it starts off with some guiding principles and a vision statement. And so these vision statements and design directions were developed back at the early time of this plan. So I'll just read it. The vision statement, it is that the town dock will be an active and vibrant destination that reflects Penetanguishene's heritage and culture. It will serve as a centralized public space that is safe and inclusive, with spectacular views of the water that can be enjoyed and accessed year-round. Its connection to downtown will be enhanced through opportunities that support the local community and development. And so those are the broad visions of what we and the community is developing for the town dock. With that in mind, there was the design directions to keep it connected and accessible, open, welcoming and inviting, flexible and adaptable, reflective of heritage and culture, sustainable, and to maximize its economic potential. So the main focus has been the design, the master plan itself, which lays out what the land can be used for. And so there we go. So as I noted, this is a large official plan document that talks about land use designations. And so the property is intended to be redesignated as part of this application for an amendment or for to lift the future study area. So the blue area on the above map is what we call the downtown and waterfront area designation. It's currently what's applied to all of downtown. So that's where you see the focus of business, the focus of commercial activity, buildings can go, so forth. The green area is for major open space, and that aligns with the Rotary Run at Champlain Park that just is south of this site. So that designation would then be applied sort of around the edge of the town dock property. And that's reflective of the two land use designations nearby, the downtown and waterfront area, and then the major open space. So there would be some slight tweaks to what that looks like now. Currently, I believe it's all downtown and waterfront area. And so, thanks. And so the goals of the master plan, as noted, were some very high level visions, and this is what some of the document talks about in the public realm, to keep in mind how trails are accessed, how service routes to the sewage treatment plant or deliveries are given to the town dock or the businesses that would be there, or sorry, the marina and the businesses that would be there. Certain elements that are the guiding framework for what we want to achieve down there when it gets designed and when we get into those details. And so again, these are some of the visionary objectives with the master plan. So how movement and transportation would happen on the site, how key view corridors would be maintained, and where where some of the buildings and such would be focused on the property. So this leads into the master plan itself, and these are the details that everybody likes to look at on this property. We've talked a lot about the overarching land use designations on this, but these are the specific things that are to happen in those designations itself. So the property is intended to be a town square, a public plaza. So that's what you see on the north side of the property in green. That's where all the kind of swirly things are. That's the focus of some of the buildings and the pedestrian activity happening in there. They're identified with the waterfront kiosk, the tourist information center, future dock lunch, as well as public amenities such as bathrooms and change rooms and such. We continue to have, or this plan provides for a drop-off for the cruise ships that come into or launch from the town dock. So that's identified in number 7. And so there's a drop-off there that aligns with a new main entrance into the town dock across from Wolf Street. The bulk of the plan is number 9, which is the car and trailer parking. That's the significant change, I guess. It's been consolidated into one area. The area itself is the same or slightly increased from the area that is there now, just consolidated in one space. And it also includes under number 10, which is a flexible area, which is intended to enhance opportunities for activities to be planned along the waterfront and can be repurposed if necessary. Number 12 continues to be the boat launch. It will align with the entrance from Main Street to provide for access and flow, as well as some realignments with the sewage treatment plant exit onto Main Street. There will be some ability to use that to exit the parking area. So move on to the next one. So some of the key changes from what would have been seen, I think the last formal public consultation, as I noticed, was back in 2022. The key changes are that the uses on the waterfront remain as flexible as originally proposed, as including the parking design that it was noted number 10 and pop-up events that can happen within the plaza area. The area dedicated to parking is proposed to be maintained, and the exact layout where something would be worked on through detailed design, and not something that the plan would say this is the parking numbers that are going to be provided. That can be something that's flushed out when we actually get some further details on the site. And then it's updated the entry and exit points for the property. There was a lot of discussion about Wolf Street and use of that triangle space, about the circular turn, and so that changed some of the entrance and access points in the master plan. As I noted, the boat ramp now aligns with an exit, or it continues to align with the exit to help with the maneuvering of those vehicles and staging. And then the new four-way intersection at Main Street and Wolf Street that's been identified to help with in traffic management. So the intent is that the revised plan is to improve accessibility and provide for better separation between the public areas and the operational zones of the town dock. So the plan has, as is noted, was a vision, and it's identifying how the town can achieve some of these goals. And so we recognize this is going to take some time, and there are some decisions and future discussions with the public and council that may have to be made around some of those aspects. So in the short term, they've identified really the major component is the consolidation of the parking area into one. In this phase one, which is in short term 1 to 5 years, it would be start to see the creation of that public plaza and the relocation of the TIC and some of the public amenities at the town dock. And then in phase two is where you'd see sort of the finalization of some of the details and some of the more significant potential changes to it, the four-way intersection at Wolf Street, some of the realignment of those roads, and potential relocation of the dock lunch. So the noted that the plan is a vision document and talks about policies and gives a guiding master plan for it. But there are other tools that are important to make sure that this vision gets implemented through its eventual construction. So the official plan amendment is what we're working on right now. If necessary, and we're still working out those details, anything around the zoning bylaw that may need to be tweaked respecting this. There's a plan to develop a theme and detailed design for the public plaza and the parkland areas. Recommendations for wayfinding and branding, a strategy for the town dock lands, a parking management plan. As discussed, there's a lot of consideration around parking and how that can be operationalized. An economic development strategy to guide where we're trying to achieve it there at the town dock. Some information on capital development and how much this is going to cost. I'm sure that's a question everybody might have with all of this, is how much may this cost this municipality, and can the vision be fully implemented at what everybody is comfortable with? And an understanding of the marina operations. It's a bit not unique, but with the operation of the slips there and some changes happening in recreation, I think it's being recommended that we look at the marina a little bit closely and figure out a plan for its feasibility and its operations. So the consultation, and I will just jump right into the most recent, the recent consultation, which was the public meeting back on October 9th. I will keep it very high level again, there was 11 members of the public that spoke, and they had a variety of comments ranging on the master plan. Some of the more common themes were to make it vibrant and unique, focus on people and not cars, improve the waterfront access, balance parking needs, celebrate the history and tourism, and I repeated myself, be bold and unique there. So there was some comments from the public as well as council made some feedback. And so all of that was recorded, and we will make available to you if anybody wants to watch that public meeting and hear what some members of our community said and council. And then following that, we did have a public survey that was released, and it was open from October 27th until November 21st. We had very good, I will say, feedback on that survey, 137 responses, which is a good response for a community, and we've done a number of these surveys. Generally, the themes around the comments on the master plan to date were around the parking, ensuring that there's adequate space for cars and trucks, boats and trailers, and that's clearly separated from pedestrian areas. There was comments regarding the water access and concerns with the boat launch. A second ramp came up, I think, in one of the comments, as well as providing options for alternative types of water recreation, such as canoes and kayaks. Some of the comments noted that pedestrian-friendly features should be considered with benches, paths, shaded areas, and ensuring that there's connectivity to Rotary Park. Upgrades to the sort of vibrancy or the attractiveness of the site, looking at a new tick with some themes, markets, and availabilities for some entertainment to happen down there. And lastly, some comments about the cost. As noted earlier, there are some significant improvements down there. And so this is one of the features that the public have some concerns about. Jumping into the myths, just wanted to clarify things, and I'm not sure I got everything, but one of the things we did hear back was about the boat launch. It wasn't initially a design that was supposed to come out, an element of the lands that were supposed to come out. That was one of the things that stayed in and is intended to remain in the master plan. So alleviating any concerns with the loss of a boat launch. We heard some comments about a hotel. This was one of the elements that was also earlier considered and dismissed due to its proximity to the sewage treatment plant, some nuisance and impacts regarding that, as well as just priorities around how much we can do with that small space, a hotel, parking, boat launch, marina. There's a lot going on in a small space. The committee has talked about using sort of the entrance into Rotary Champlain Park there and the relocation of the Kitchi Kiwanis statue. Staff have looked at this, and I wasn't here at the time, but I recall hearing that there was a lot of conversation about establishing the Kitchi Kiwanis statue and what it means to the community here, and that the benefit of either relocating it or infringing a little bit onto that land wasn't there for additional parking. So that wasn't outside of the scope of this work and will remain as is. And a lot of concerns too about had we lost parking, and we just wanted to confirm that we don't have the numbers, but the space allocation is intended to be at least the same or improved. So for next steps, that is really today's presentation is one of our goals. So I wanted to give this presentation to you today. It is being recorded and will be provided to all of the members of your committees. And it's an opportunity to provide collective information and clarifying questions in order to help guide yourselves when you're going back and talking with your advisory committee meetings to provide formal feedback to the town dock committee and staff on this. Many of you may or may not know, but the Wellbeing and Accessibility Advisory Committee had a conversation at one of their recent meetings, and it was through that sort of prompted staff to think about how we were delivering information around this project to each committee. It felt a little bit individual instead of collective. And so the intention was to get the larger group together so that everybody has an opportunity to hear the same information at the same time and ask those questions. And then the long-term steps include going back to our Town Dock Advisory Committee with final recommendations, making any last minute revisions or any major revisions that may come out of these conversations. There is a requirement to hold another statutory public meeting under the Planning Act. So that is a statutory opportunity for the public to provide formal comment to council. And then should council adopt the master plan and official plan amendment, it actually doesn't become in effect until it's sent to the County of Simcoe for their approval. And should County of Simcoe give it approval, it becomes an appendage to the official plan. And then we can take the work that's done and some of the implementation tools and begin capital planning for the eventual reconstruction of the town dock. Whew. Okay, so I think that was it. I'm happy to answer any questions. I know there was a lot of information there, and I could not summarize over 5 years worth of work in 30 slides. I tried to keep it high level. I do want to thank everybody for coming, and if there's anything I can answer or clarify with respect to what we're doing, what we need, or what we're asking, I'm happy to do that. This is not a formal council meeting, so I will just take your questions or questions if you can. I'm hoping everybody takes their comments and has that conversation back at their advisory committee instead of here, but happy to have some questions answered here if there's anything I can do. And sorry, Sarah's.